It is Auburn mood tracker time tonight. Now, I have a quote, and it's going to be followed with the overall mood of Auburn. You tell me where this quote comes from. I wish I could tell you Andy fought the good fight and the sisters let him be. I wish I could tell you that, but prison is no fairy tale world. That, of course, is Morgan Freeman in Shawshank Redemption. But I took the liberty, the creative liberty, of replacing a few words because I realized if I change 3 words here, this perfectly summarizes the fan mood right now at Auburn. Here's how we're going to reword this. I wish I could tell you fans fought the good fight and the boosters left the program be. I wish I could tell you that, but Auburn is no fairy tale world. And with that, we present the current Auburn mood tracker, Seeking Escape. Not escape from Auburn. This is where you got to dive into the weeds a little bit, and you got to understand Auburn, Alabama. Very unique place. I grew up very, very close, so I feel uniquely equipped to explain Auburn to you people. Auburn fans do not want to escape Auburn. Far from it. They love Auburn. They love everything about Auburn. They love the spirit there. They love the town itself. It's like a postcard. A few more chain restaurants popping up as of late than I would like, but it's like a postcard if you're on the right parts of campus. They love the traditions. They love the community. They love the values. Everything about that they love. What Auburn fans and folks get really tired of is having to look around every corner waiting for the self-sabotage hammer to drop. It's one thing if you're having to punch out constantly. If you're having to fight outside forces, that's life. You know, and especially in high-level college football, that's the game. So if you're trying to fight Bama or Georgia or LSU or A&M, we expect that. What we don't expect is we don't expect to have to fight our own. And yet at Auburn, it's been a constant, and it's not new. And of course, what I'm talking about, if you've been checked out for the last month or so, these folks, when I say these folks, I mean a small minority of powerful people around Auburn are now 0 for 2 over the past year and a half of trying to make sure Brian Harsin is not their coach, much to the chagrin of the general Auburn family, who, even though they may not be crazy about Harsin's first year, they're just so tired of a few people having a death grip on the steering wheel of Auburn football and not being willing to let go, even though they themselves have no clue where they're headed. They don't have GPS, they don't know, they're out in the middle of Wichita, and they're not from the Midwest, but yet they're just driving around anyway aimlessly. Well, that's kind of the feeling. If you've been an Auburn fan, you're watching folks with no clue how to run a football program, but they got deep pockets, and so they can reach the wheel, and they won't let go of the wheel. And they're driving a car that you love. It's not a rental, you're not leasing it, it's not a test drive, it's yours. They have their hands on the wheel of Auburn, and Auburn belongs to you, you would think, just as much as them. This has always been a feeling around this program, long before Brian Harsin came along. I will say long after he's gone, but I hope it's not the case for their sake. But there's always been a feeling, you know, and if you've been close to the program, again, and you've been around the folks, there's always been a feeling around Auburn that if they could just channel the passion that everyone has for that program into a laser beam that points in the same direction, it would be a powerhouse athletic department. And I don't think they're wrong about that. Problem being, they have never been able for a sustained period of time to channel all that passion. Because make no mistake about it, even the folks that have been detrimental in their approach to Auburn athletics, they love Auburn, they love themselves, but they love Auburn too. I mean, if you ask them what their goal is for that team to win on Saturdays just as much as, Sal from Sylacauga. Shout out Highway 280. But the way they go about it's different. You know, the prism with which they view the athletic department, the program, just a little bit different. And so here we are today. We're in spring now. We're approaching spring, at least, of 2022. The good news, as I said, is those folks who have tried to hijack the program, they're 0 for 2 in their 2 most recent attempts. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. We have no clue what the future holds for Brian Harsin and his staff because a million questions still remain. We're not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. It's why I tried to frame it the right way when all that drama was going on earlier this month. It wasn't that everyone was pro-Harsin. It was just that they were anti, JABA, as they call it, just Auburn being Auburn. They're anti that. They're anti those forces punching in on Auburn and working against themselves. And so now you got staffers they had to replace. They had some guys leave via the portal. They did not recruit a very good class on paper. I want to stress that because you don't really know what a class consists of until it's a few years into being on campus and going through your strength and conditioning. So I'll grant you that. It doesn't feel like this is a rocket ship, but at least they're going to get a chance. So we're going to go into spring now. At least they'll get a chance. But a million questions still remain there. And Auburn folks, all the while, are just sitting around wishing for nothing more than just an escape from what the norm has been. Because their belief is if we could just compete on equal footing and have all the passion directed in the same effort, we'd be really good. We'd be okay. And I agree with them. I think they would be.